Hi guys, welcome to the Gala Vision podcast. Today we are at episode 10, which I'm really excited. I should have told you about that before, Samantha. We're celebrating that at COhatch co-working community here in downtown St. Petersburg. I am with the lovely Samantha LaGrosso. LaGrosso. And we are highlighting all things downtown St. Pete, being a professional in this community, and the amazing COhatch space. So thank you for being on Gala Vision.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, and we had some technical difficulties, but we were able to pivot.
It's okay.
But we are in the COhatch podcast room, which, how cool is this space? You've got mics, you've got all the equipment that you need. Even if you don't bring your own equipment, you can set up and film from here. So tell me more about COhatch and how you can really turn your passion as an entrepreneur or professional into reality working here.
I'm Samantha LaGrosso. I'm the community manager at COhatch St. Pete. We are a co-working private office and meeting and event space right in the Central Arts District. And we would love to gain some new faces, some new members, and have you come check out our space. In addition to co-working, we offer meeting and event space, private offices, and we just are kind of like a town hall 2.0. We think of ourselves, we think of ourselves as like a little community hub, not like a city hall, but more of just a small community hub, but that town hall 2.0 feel where businesses, entrepreneurs, startups, nonprofits, anybody really can just come in and work, meet, and live in a variety of different ways at different locations, because we have locations all over the country. So they get membership to anywhere in the country. If they're traveling for work, a lot of our members will be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in Columbus this week, and that's where COhatch is based, or Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta. We have a bunch of new markets opening up. So it's basically kind of like the future of remote work, but with more of that community feel.
I love that. I didn't realize that if one membership, you got to go to any location.
Yes.
That's so worth it, I feel.
Yeah, especially for those who travel for work. And we've had snowbirds from Ohio, where a lot of our COhatches are.
That makes sense.
Will come down here and work in Florida, because the Tampa Bay market is only about 2 years old.
Wow.
And so they like taking advantage of the winters at COhatch Lakeland and St. Pete.
Of course. Is there a COhatch in Tampa yet?
It is under construction.
Okay.
We're thinking end of 2024, maybe fall 2024 opening.
Oh, wow.
And then Tarpon Springs should be opening this summer.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Like in the sponge docks.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's going to be very Greek inspired there. It's right in historic downtown Tarpon.
Oh, wow.
Also in a historic building, kind of like this location. And yeah, it's going to be really cool. I think every location kind of has its own vibe that really speaks to the city that it's in, and I know the design team will kind of do their research beforehand to incorporate different historical aspects or old folklore of the cities to include in there.
Tell us about that in the St. Pete location specifically, because I came and toured the space and Samantha informed me, gave me so much historical background and perspective, and it like made it even more interesting and more endearing of a location.
Yeah, and I'm such a history nerd too, so
That's awesome.
When I first came on the team and the opportunity for this role came up when I was transitioning careers, and they first brought me to this building right before it opened in October, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope there's secret passageways everywhere. Like, I love historic buildings. So this room that we are in right now, the 768 room, also known as the podcast room, was named the 768 room because apparently, not sure which year, but many years ago, St. Petersburg experienced 768 straight days of sunshine.
Oh my God.
There was no rain.
Wait, that's so cool.
Yeah, and we are called the Sunshine City here in St. Pete. So I know we are also used to our rainy summers, but many years ago, like decades back, there was a time when it was 768 straight days of sunshine.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. So this, I mean, it feels like kind of sunny and bright, like in this room, very St. Pete, and each room kind of has a different story and a different feel.
Yeah, so we have a meeting room directly below us, actually, called the ballroom. It seats about 6 people. It's good for small teams.
It was full,
And
yeah. When I just walked up, there was like some great event happening.
yeah, so people will just book that for little meetings, or if you're a member here, you can use your meeting room credits to book the space as well.
Okay.
Like we have some members who don't necessarily have a private office, but they have a co-working membership, and maybe they need to meet with a client privately, so they'll step in there.
That's smart.
But the ballroom is baseball themed. We've got a painting of a baseball player on the wall and a little bouquet, if you will, of baseballs on the table, because everybody knows St. Pete is a big baseball city, and it is the origin of spring training for the MLB. And then this building was a hotel, the Harlan Hotel, built in 1925.
What?
And a lot of baseball players were rumored to have stayed here during that time, particularly Babe Ruth. So they say. But we like to believe it.
No, I've heard that before, that he was present around St. Pete quite a bit. So.
Yes. Yeah, he had a home in Jungle Terrace, I believe.
Oh, wow.
But he would kind of visit all the hotels in downtown St. Pete, and supposedly the Harlan Hotel was one of them. So the design team was like, yes, we gotta have a baseball themed meeting room.
Yes, that's so cool. And I was reading about that with the Don Cesar, that there's like a lot of baseball, there was like spring training and all that, and all the like gallivantry that the baseball players would partake in. So that's kind of interesting that it's tied to that here. And I know an interesting story that you also shared was the monkey. I'm gonna drop like B-roll as we're talking of the space too, so folks can see the COhatch space in St. Pete. But the monkey was one of my favorite little aspects, and I was actually telling a friend about it the other day, and she was like, "That's really cool." So I'd love for you to share that.
Yes, so that's another crazy story about the monkey. We have little hidden monkeys all around COhatch St. Pete, and the legend goes that back in the day there was a circus monkey that would travel back and forth between Tampa and St. Pete, and they could never catch him. And he was always on the loose, always on the run. He was supposed to be, it was a circus. For a second I thought it was maybe a zoo, but he was supposed to be in the circus, and they could never catch this monkey. And they one day found out that it was just as simple as luring him with a banana.
Right.
Like the stereotype that they love bananas. It worked, and he was like, okay, and they were able to get him back.
Sometimes it's right under your nose, like the simplest resolution. But I love that, and like the fact that you incorporate the monkey, the bananas, there's like all the bright colors. It just really is such a fun, unique design, and the steps with all the different colored steps. Like the design team really clearly researched the history of St. Pete and just the vibe and what makes it such a unique place, and really brought that into the COhatch space here.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about St. Pete, and I think is so unique about the city, is that it's a small city, and it does have a very urban feel to it, especially immediately downtown, but it still has that historic vibe. And you can still walk around and see like craftsman bungalows and Victorian houses, and it's just like, it's so cute. Nothing is cookie cutter, and I feel like this being an old hotel, COhatch really captured that.
100%. And even just like the exterior too, you can feel it. It feels very nostalgic. I love it. The bricks, all of that. And but you're still so close to everything in downtown. It's not like you're removed at all.
Definitely.
So are you from St. Pete, or are you local to the area?
I am. So I moved here about 5 years ago. I graduated from Florida State up in Tallahassee.
Go Noles.
Yes, go Noles. And my degree is actually in music education. And I was a teacher in Pinellas County schools for 5 years. And I taught middle school choir at 2 different schools.
Wow.
And,
oh my God, middle school.
Yeah. I loved it. I really did. And it was just time for a variety of reasons to make a career transition into like the marketing and hospitality space. And I'm so glad that I stumbled upon this. The job market was not easy last summer transitioning, but when the opportunity at COhatch came up, I was really touched by the company from the top down, and like how the CEO and the founders and people higher up really care about all members of the company, and they care about their communities too. And I think that having some of that in mind and really trying to connect with your community is what sets us apart.
That's really special.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so how many COhatch locations are there throughout the country right now?
So we have close to 40 locations.
Wow.
And you might have to edit that out if it's wrong.
Oh, I'll look into it.
It's either 30 or 40.
Okay.
We have a goal of having as many locations and markets as possible in the Midwest and the East Coast. Right now we have Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Charlotte, and Tampa Bay. And Atlanta is opening up. I'm not sure if I mentioned that.
No.
But yeah, it's been really, really rapid fire growth. Especially down here in Tampa, in Atlanta, and just more locations opening up in Ohio and Indiana. They have a headquarters location opening up in Ohio that's going to have like a full restaurant and bar on the river.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen pictures of what it's going to look like, and it looks really cool.
And that leadership that you're speaking of, so they're based in Columbus, Ohio?
Yes.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to great leadership in management.
Yeah.
That trickles down to every aspect of a business, I think. So you can see it clearly when you walk into the space, you feel the lightness and the energy, and it makes you want to co-work here. I've definitely been to other co-working spaces where it just feels like too clinical or corporate, and here it just has like its own character and feels very unique. So
yeah, I love the historic character of the space, and I think that it's always cool to tell people that when they're on a tour.
Yeah.
They are always like, oh, how many floors are there? And then when you explain that it used to be a hotel, they're like, oh, that makes sense why it's like tall and narrow and 4 floors.
Yeah, because it is tall and narrow. But again, much of St. Pete, those locations that have that character and that historic charm, it's like you're sacrificing some space, which is okay. But I mean, it feels very spacious in here because of that height. And so how many rooms are there for co-working?
So we have 6 open co-working spaces, and then 28 private offices.
Wow.
And then we have 5 meeting rooms as well.
And they're all so unique in their own characteristics, like we talked about, which I love. What's your favorite space at COhatch St. Pete?
I think the Flora Room. It's where you're going to be having your event, and it's on the 2nd floor. And what I love about the Flora Room is that when you walk in, if you look up, the ceiling is all painted in like the Art Deco style of the 1920s. And from what I understand, that is the original ceiling, and they kept that as part of the space. And there's some Hebrew inscriptions up there that are really beautiful.
What?
All in the original rafters. So it's kind of a cozy space. It's almost set up like a living room, kind of. There's some couches and chairs in there. And then you can go out on the balcony as well. Some people will take calls out there.
Oh, I didn't realize that you could go out on the balcony.
Yes, you can. It has been confirmed.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really just feels like it lends itself to like a really nice like workflow. And as Samantha mentioned, the St. Pete Gals and myself are hosting a workshop in the space, particularly at the Flora Room, or I mean the 2nd floor really, because we're utilizing
the whole 2nd floor.
We're really trying to utilize the whole space. So I'll be dropping the link for that, but that's May 22nd, and I hope you join. It's going to be all about personal branding and influence. I'm really excited. It's going to be a good one, and I'm envisioning a very immersive, like hands-on workshop, which I feel is so perfect for this space. And there's so many amazing businesses based out of COhatch from St. Pete, like local businesses and creators and entrepreneurs. Is there a particular business that you can give a shout out to, or that works out of COhatch that you have an affinity for?
Oh gosh, I mean, we have all different types of businesses in here and people from all walks of life. We have nonprofits, we have marketing folks, we have people in AI and technology, we have lawyers, we have therapists, we have people just doing their own startups, we have people in sales. It's kind of everything. Just like when I was a teacher and I couldn't have favorite students, I can't have favorite members.
That's good.
But I mean, they're all so amazing. And one of the things that I love about my job is getting to interact with them every day. If I'm at the desk, or if I'm giving a tour to someone, or just like walking around the space and chatting with members, it's always like the highlight of my day. And just becoming friends with them, honestly, has been really nice.
What's your role in particular? Because I realized I never asked you that at the top.
Yeah. So I'm the community manager of COhatch, and I wear a lot of different hats. The role is, I would say, it falls under kind of both the sales and marketing department, but I do a little bit of everything. I facilitate day-to-day office operations. I manage a CRM of leads. I make sure people are taken care of with what information and questions they have. I schedule tours. I help with I help with some events and some marketing initiatives, and plugging our events out to the community, connecting with the community. Sometimes I will actually step out of the office and go to different community events happening around downtown St. Pete, whether it's to support a member who is presenting at something, or whether it's something that I think COhatch could be a resource for. So I'm kind of just like, I do it all.
At this point, marketing is so, I feel like, cross-pollinated. You have to be able to do so much.
Yeah.
So clearly you are marketing, events, communications.
Mm-hmm.
I think communications is a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
And I feel like your passion it radiates. When you first took me around, I could feel it, and it made me excited to want to be here. So clearly you're doing your job very well.
Oh, well, thank
They're
you.
lucky to have you. And so since you mentioned sometimes you leave to go out into the community, what are some of your favorite places in downtown St. Pete that you'd like to venture to?
Well, as far as COhatch related errands, something that's really cool that happens a few times a month at the greenhouse is 1 million cups. And so it's basically like a community Shark Tank, if you've ever seen Shark Tank.
Of course.
It's where local people can pitch their business to a group of other fellow locals, but people who are really experienced with business and startup and communications. And it's a really nice, safe space to pitch your small business or your startup and get really good feedback. And some of our members have actually presented there in the past, and so I've gone to support them, and they get feedback. Yeah, it's really cool.
1 million cups.
1 million cups. And the idea behind that name is that you collaborate over 1 million cups of coffee. And so they serve kawa coffee there. Everybody kind of mingles, networks a little bit, and then the presentation starts. I believe it is maybe just once a month, but they usually have 2 presenters. And so I go to that from time to time. If there's any small businesses or nonprofits that we'd like to partner with, sometimes I'll venture over there, whether it's a food and beverage partner or just places that recently opened up in the community that I would like to introduce myself to. And it's kind of fun to do a little tour.
Yeah, grassroots marketing. That's the way to go. It's, I mean, the power of in-person is so much, I think, more prevalent than ever, especially because people, I think the younger generations are a bit more hesitant to do that in-person networking that's so vital to make enduring connections.
Definitely.
And I think COhatch is such a great kind of base for that, because you can feel safe, you can have your little space, your little room, your office if you want it, but then you still have that community engagement that you had mentioned. So I think it's just amazing that you do that, and then you, as your role as a community liaison, get to go out in the community and represent COhatch as well. So when you're not working for COhatch, where do you like to go get a bite or get a cup of coffee or a cocktail in St. Pete?
Oh gosh, there's so many good places. I had a running list on my phone, and my husband and I would check them off as time went on.
I have to do that.
Yeah. Favorite places in downtown St. Pete. There's so many good coffee shops. I mean, I love kawa, which we are actually going to start serving here tomorrow.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's really exciting.
Shout out to kawa.
Kawa is always there for you. I love Paradeco down by Beach Drive. I love the fun retro Miami vibe in there. And then restaurants, there's so many good ones. I think my all-time favorite restaurant in St. Pete is probably the Library down by All Children's Hospital.
So cute.
It's like you're eating inside a library.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. And I also really like Social Roost.
Okay,
downtown.
yeah.
They have a little bit of everything, some Indian and Middle Eastern inspired foods, American, Italian, Korean. They have everything. And
really?
Great craft cocktails.
I've only been there for brunch, I think, and I think I just had chicken and waffles. So
their brunch is delicious too, but I think dinner is where they really shine.
Wow, good to know. Look at that.
Yeah. And then for more casual places, I love Bodega down in the Edge District,
Yeah.
and their speakeasy
Yeah,
hidden back
Bar
there.
Chica.
Yeah, that's really fun.
It's really cool. I love everything that they do. I feel like the Baba, Bar Booney, that area too. Well, they're the same owners, so
Yeah.
I love like their concepts and the food. The quality is just also there.
Yes. Yeah. Whenever you hear about them opening something new, you know it's gonna be good.
Yeah. It's like some places can be like very gimmicky, but then the food's not quite there. Yeah, not the case with Bodega. As a Cuban, it's the best Cuban sandwich I think in St. Pete.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not Cuban, but I'm from South Florida, and everybody when I first moved to the Tampa Bay area, they're like, "Oh, I'm so jealous of the Cuban food." No offense to St. Pete and Tampa, but I think it's better in South Florida.
I know. I thank you for that. Well, I mean, I'm very partial to St. Pete now, but when I do go to Miami to visit family, I'm like, I need my Cuban food. Yeah. And I mean, you're so close to so many locations. What are some like areas around COhatch that you would recommend that members go check out when they're working from here?
Yeah, oh gosh. I always recommend Pacific Counter for a fun lunch, especially if we have out-of-towners coming in for a meeting. I feel like January through April, we got a lot of, not necessarily snowbirds, but meeting snowbirds. Like they wanted to have their all-company meeting in a warm place. Genius. So they came here, and so they knew nothing about the area other than it was warm compared to where they were from. And they were like, what's a casual lunch spot? I love Pacific Counter. They do Hawaiian hot dogs, which sounds weird, but they're so good. Have you gone there?
Oh, yeah. I love Pacific Counter.
So good. They have poke bowls, they have kimchi, they have a little bit of everything, but the sauce on the Hawaiian hot dogs is amazing.
Like the aioli or whatever. Yes, it's so, I always get one of the hot dogs. I'm like, sorry, babe, I need a hot dog from here.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And then Chryslip Cafe is a little hidden gem behind that wrought iron gate on Central where all those little boutiques are. I didn't know about it, and I've gone to so many places in St. Pete, but I didn't know about it until I started working here. One of my coworkers told me about it, and I went one day, and their cinnamon bun latte is so good. Cinnamon
bun latte?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to check that out, because I go there to like, get little like whimsical inspiration sometimes, because I love the way the cafe's set up, but I'll just get a cappuccino. So good to know.
And I'm not normally a sugary latte person, but theirs is worth it.
Sometimes you gotta just make it happen. I mean, it's amazing that you can work from such a great space and then be out in downtown St. Pete. It's really quite fabulous.
It's something I definitely don't take for granted. Like I said, I loved being a teacher, but being able to go take a walk around the block and be immersed in so many beautiful things like small businesses, the murals, the trees, the weather, especially in the winter when it was so beautiful.
Oh, I know.
And having all these resources here is definitely something I don't take for granted.
Yeah, you're right next to the Morian and the Chihuly exhibit, so there's so much art as well, which is, again, really unique that you're like perpendicular to art, food, culture, just so St. Pete.
Yeah, and it's great that we are centrally located in the Central Arts District. We're close to the Edge, we're close to Beach Drive, just a few blocks away, and so it's really a place that anybody can go to for work, or just, to get out of the house, make connections, and experience a community.
Yeah, I agree. And so speaking of co-working, what do you see the future of co-working like, or co-working spaces, or COhatch in particular, maybe like the next 5 years?
That's a good question. So I think co-working is becoming the norm in our society for remote and hybrid work. And I think it's only going to continue growing. We do have so many other wonderful co-working spaces around here, and it's because there's such a high demand for them. And I think people enjoy the flexibility of working remotely, but they like to not feel isolated. So that's why co-working is becoming so popular. And I think the investment is really worth it. You get to get out of the house, work in what I feel is a luxurious historic space, meet other people, connect with others that you might have not otherwise met. There's professional development and networking opportunities. We're actually having a really large public networking event on May 30th, presented by the Suncoast Tiger Bay Club, who have memberships here. And we are going to be using our dining room space on the first floor to kind of just bring community leaders together. Our members are invited. It's going to be open to the public. There will be some, I believe, LinkedIn and Eventbrite stuff going out for that soon, so people can come, and it's just a great in-person networking opportunity like you were talking about before.
I definitely want to attend that. That'll
Yeah.
be fun. I was going to ask you about events. I wanted to get to
Yeah.
our event, but so just so folks can get a bird's eye view of a membership. So you get not only a co-working space, you get the amenities, which is like coffee, you get the kitchen, you get the bathroom access, you can have access to a podcast studio, to a dedicated event spaces as well. So that all is encompassed in your membership?
Yes. So Wi-Fi, Ethernet, all utilities, locally freshly brewed coffee, hot tea. Sometimes we'll do like a catered lunch or a fun breakfast as a little pick-me-up for our members. We do a monthly lunch and learn series where we provide lunch from a local sponsor, and then a member will present on their topic of expertise. Then our members can come eat their lunch and get a break from work and meetings if they're able to, and receive an educational session during their lunch hour. And then you do get the meeting room credits, which includes the podcast room. Depending on what type of membership you have, determines how many meeting room credits per month you get.
Okay.
But yeah, there's so many perks. We have a member beach house in Anna Maria Island, which is really cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So COhatch owns a beach house in Anna Maria Island, and our members get a discount at that house. It's gorgeous.
Oh my God.
I haven't personally been. I've just seen pictures, and it can house a lot of people. It has a pool. It's close to the beach.
Like to stay there?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Like it's an Airbnb.
That is so cool. I love that. Oh my gosh. That's definitely what the future of co-working is looking like those integrated immersive components to your membership.
Definitely.
That's badass.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Whenever our members see that on our live wall, which is like our little display corkboard downstairs in the kitchen, they're like, beach house. Can you tell me about that first?
That's such a perk.
Yeah, especially if you're a northern COhatch member and you want to come down to Florida.
Yes.
In the winter. It's
and
really nice.
You can co-work in St. Pete or Tampa or Lakeland, and then go hang out for a night or two in Anna Maria Island, which is not far.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. COhatch, you guys just so on the trends.
One other thing I do want to mention that's a really cool perk is access to an app called COhatch Plus. So members and even non-members can list their businesses on there.
Wow.
And you can, it's kind of like our own LinkedIn, if you will, and you can interact with other members, network, swap business concepts, that kind of thing. And there's like a whole business directory on there where you can see who is at your location, who's at other locations. Maybe there's a service you need and there's a member there who can provide that for you.
Wow.
So that's a cool perk as well.
That's so cool. I mean, for the price of a cup of coffee or a pastry and a coffee that someone who works remotely maybe is spending every day to go just work at a coffee shop, you can instead have a family, community, connections, contacts, space, like so much more that's just immensely worth the value.
Yeah, and I tell people that a lot because I totally get that maybe they're like, that's a lot of money per month. Our memberships range from $75 to $270 a month for just the co-working. And sometimes I'll say to them, well, yeah, but think about how much you spend at a coffee shop going every single day buying a $7 latte.
And a pastry and parking.
That can add up. And so it really does help to see the value of the co-working space and that community aspect where we strengthen communities.
Yes, as you're breaking it down, I'm like, oh my God, it's, working remotely, like I want to get in with the barista just so I feel like I know somebody. So the fact that you can come in and have this whole community, that's another level. So definitely worth it. And I know that, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we have our own event coming up. So make sure you sign up on May 22nd. That's taking place in the Flora Room. And we're just going to showcase this beautiful space. I want to have a moment during the event where we do like a breakout content session. And so that I want to have, like, in the spaces where we can use, I want to have the folks, or it's mostly females, the gals, but we're not restricting to gender, but I'd like to have them like kind of break out and like create your own content like in teams of 2 and like pick a space at COhatch and then like see how they create that content or how they make like a video or a photo. And I just think it's going to be really exciting to be able to use this space in a fun, hands-on way. So thank you for donating this space and sponsoring our event.
Yeah, we're always happy to do that for businesses, especially your business. I think it's so impressive what you've built.
Thank you.
And I'm personally really inspired by it, and I think that you offering that workshop is going to be really helpful to people who are attending that. I know I would even be curious to like learn about what more skills and education you've acquired over the years on content creation and just like marketing, communication stuff. And I think COhatch is the perfect place to do that.
I think so. I'd love to have you there. I hope you can join. And I mean, just you do so many different events at COhatch too, that when we were talking about the initial event, you were mentioning there was like a mixology class.
Yes.
So just the fact that it can be such a range from like educational, informative to just more like leisure lifestyle, I think that's really cool. Yeah. So is there anything else maybe that you want to mention or include about COhatch or yourself or the community or upcoming events?
Yeah, actually, we are doing a summer promotion where you can get an unlimited co-working membership for just $150 a month instead of $270.
Wow.
For June, July, and August. So that's 3 months at the discounted summer rate. And we're also offering free 2-week trials right now just to try out the space. I think it's really helpful, even if it doesn't end up being a good fit for you, at least you got to experience it as an actual member would. So that's definitely something to take advantage of right now, the 2-week trial and the summer passes.
Yeah, and even if you're not someone who's set up with a laptop, like I do content creation as well, obviously, so like having a new background where I can just like set up and like film a few things, or like having just a fresh space, I think is such a great thing to have too. So you have to consider, if you're doing different types of industries, how this kind of space can really help you.
Right.
It's not all just like, hey, you have to be on your laptop making phone calls. Like, there's so much you can do. I mean, we're filming a podcast right now. So, so where can you follow COhatch and yourself if you want to share that?
So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that just yet, but if you follow at COhatch Community on Instagram and Facebook, that is where we have social media, and you can also find us on LinkedIn. And every month there is a newsletter that goes out, as well as a monthly Instagram post that details all of the events in each different market location. So you can see all of the Tampa Bay events, specifically St. Pete, and sometimes if they're public, we'll do an extra Eventbrite, LinkedIn, or showcase shout out for that.
I love that.
Yeah.
So fun. Well, thank you so much for being on the Gala Vision podcast, Samantha. This was so fun. I appreciate your time and insight. Yeah, this was a blast. And stay tuned for our event and Gala Vision episode 10. This was a good way to celebrate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.